Bennett, owner of Center Focus Adventures and Hala Paddleboard team rider and ambassador for 2024, and I would like to present Follow the Flood. Follow the Flood was a mission that I had planned for a few years to make the first continuous descent of the entire Verde River on a stand-up paddleboard. Last year I showed up on March 6th to execute that mission, having spent about a year talking to people on the res and concessionaires that work with them to be able to go through tribal lands as I got closer to Phoenix, all sorts of other logistics, and the plan was really to make the first documented run of the entire river in a way that people that aren't able to get out there can appreciate and enjoy some of the natural beauty. I'm going to talk about some of the history along the way, some of the geology, the archaeology, and it was my way of being able to share the diversity and the recreational and various values that the Verde River has to provide us. Traveling alone is certainly very dangerous, especially when you're in flood conditions like last year. I have all of my pin gear and communication equipment and e-perbs and saws all on my persons. I'm also a certified rope rescue technician. I have 15 years of hardshell whitewater paddling experience, about 9 on stand-up paddleboard, and have run big rivers all over the western United States self-contained. And so you don't want to just jump into a situation like what I took on without it being very calculated. I'm not a risk taker, I'm a risk technician, and things were very well planned and very well thought out. I left on March 6th. The plan was originally to hike the first 5 miles, which is a bone dry, narrow canyon that runs from Sullivan Lake, the true headwater of the Verde River, and the dam that's right there, which, depending on how you measure across the lakes, ranges from 165 to 200 miles. A lot of time was spent off-river as giant pulses up to 80,000 CFS moved through, and I just kept taking section by section and working through it. And originally the documentary assumed that the first 5 miles from Sullivan Lake, as it's always dry, I was going to hike that and then discuss the relevance of it. The normal start point at the headwaters is 5 miles below Sullivan at Morgan Ranch. Any guidebook you ever read will say it's unrunnable above Morgan Ranch. And the original guidebook, Jim Slingluff, who claims he was the first descent of the river in a canoe in one big push, talks about how it will never be run above Morgan Ranch because it's just simply not possible, given the fact there's no water in there and the size of the boulders. And here I show up on March 6th, and that's the plan, only to find out that the flood had erupted and Sullivan Lake dam was in full conditions. It was at 150 CFS when I got there, and I come to find out it was at 900 CFS even before I got through my second day. So I rappelled in directly below the dam, and theoretically maybe I am the first person to actually run the entire Verde River period, from the actual dam at Sullivan Lake all the way to the Salt River in Phoenix. I'd be curious to know the history, so feel free to write in the comments. It's a fun way the community can come together and share other people's journeys down the river if other continuous descents have been done. But I'm pretty sure it's the first descent 200 miles in flood conditions, self-supported and solo on a Hala paddleboard, and again, I may have been the first person to actually do the whole Verde River period in the history of the Verde River, unless someone showed up there with the good luck to see that dam flowing in the way that it was at the same time that they were prepared and planning to be on a river for 3 weeks. So the timing was immaculate. We captured it all. We followed the flood, and I'd like to present episode 1 of Follow the Flood, Sullivan Lake to the Morgan Ranch. All right, weather has passed and cleared, so we're going to take advantage of this window and head on out towards Paulden and
see if we can get through the upper 4 miles maybe today. It looks like we actually have flow at about 150 CFS on the Paulding gauge, which is super rare if you know that. And we'll see what's going on. But yeah, we're just getting ready here for the drop, and yeah, it should be good times. We'll see. It's gonna be quite the adventure.
Here we are at the start of the Verde River trip at Sullivan Lake. Very, very rare scene to see Sullivan Lake flowing at this level. It's also going to potentially pose a threat for me in the first few days because it's very strainy and congested up top, and there's a substantial amount of water going through it. What will be interesting is that I'm not sure this upper bit has ever been boated. It probably has at some point, but again, very rare to have the water to do such. So I'm gonna give it a shot and see what this first 4 miles is like down towards the Morgan Ranch, which is normally where I start the headwater. You can see, pretty rare event here. This guy's taking photos. River doesn't do this too often. Looks like to start this out, I'm gonna need to wrap on in. This canyon is just too sheer for me to find another way down into it. And so we're just gonna build an anchor off the rescue rope here and drop down in this beast. Okay, I'm in the gorge, starting literally at Sullivan Lake. Val is up there saving me. Gonna send in the gear now. I'm ready. There it is. Yeehaw, I'm out. Thanks, Val. You can see, even at these higher flows, undercut rocks, too much pin in there.
So some pretty brutal portages. I stashed the gear 4 miles ahead where I know this actually lets up. That was definitely a smart idea. Just passing Morgan Ranch right now, and when we set up camp tonight, we'll talk about the headwaters and Morgan Ranch area, as well as the basic history of the Verde Valley to get this journey started. I'm glad you can join me on this adventure. A lot of people don't get to really see what this river is start to finish. We'll be traveling around 200 miles, so I guess we got maybe 3 down and 197 to go here. The flow at this level is really remarkable through here. This is a really rare event, and I'm moving quite quick through areas that I've had to drag through swamp grasses and a lot of nastiness in the past. So this is really a phenomenal situation right now. But again, we'll check back in later, and I hope you're enjoying the ride, and catch you on the flip side here at the next stop. Got some snow over here and more snow out there. So still got a little bit of snow sitting around on the north faces from that storm that we saw when I left my house just a few days ago. So we're getting close to Camp 1. So did those headwaters, really good deal. I again don't think many people ever get to do that. So